So, are contrast slash speed paints still considered cheating in this day and age? This was a conversation that had popped up when contrast paints really just came into the forefront, and I think also with speed paints. Now, this affects me as somebody who primarily slap chops basically all of my models, right? And I will admit, using contrast paints really does feel like a bit of a hack. For reference, for these models that I'm showing you here, I use the white primer over black primer, and you notice that a lot of the model is covered in white, and this is because I want the contrast paints to really stick. Now, why do I even use contrast paints to begin with? Well, first and foremost, this is what I found to be the fastest way to get table ready minis on the board. Painting just with your color, then your shade, then like highlights. It takes a little bit, but contrast paints combine both the shade part and the color part all in like one easy to do step. The thing I like a lot about these contrast paints is that, as you can see, it's very evident when you start applying the paint how the model is going to look with that. With the way that I prime these models, because the raised portions are more covered in white than with black, naturally the contrast paints are gonna, really show on those the white primed parts of my miniature, whereas on the bottom, on the darker side, it would just show up as black. So it makes it very easy, and it just immediately pops the moment I put the paint on. The other thing I like about using contrast paints is that it really helped me learn a bit more about considering what the raised parts of the model are and where the light is going to hit, especially if you're trying to do zenithal. Originally, that was what I was doing with these models, but I ended up inundating them with white primer, so I was like, might as well do this. All right? So, back to the conversation at hand. Is it really cheating? Well, I think the better question to ask is, how do you even cheat in this hobby, right? Like, I know there's cheating in the games themselves, but cheating in, painting, right? Is it because learning how to paint like slap chop style doesn't really teach you things like, wet blending and all those like advanced techniques that you can learn? Well, if you extend this conversation out, then we're gonna ask, okay, so how else can you cheat? How else can you cheat in that regard? Do people who commission other artists, to paint for them cheating? Are people who buy models that are already painted cheating? Right? And I think this really just boils down to, what are you trying to do when you're painting? Are you painting to learn and get better at painting, or you just want to have painted models? I think for everyone who's watching this, or anyone who paints their own models for this hobby, I think it's a combination of, well, both really. Just because you found the slap chop formula doesn't mean that you're gonna get it to the effects that you would like, right? But let's be real, all right, and take a step back, because the truth is, the only way you're actually cheating yourself in this hobby is if you're not painting minis, because they have to be perfect, because you have to find the perfect formula to make the perfectly painted model, right? And if you're not painting, you're not really enjoying the game. You just have a bunch of like gray piles of shame. So if you ever think that, hey, I'm using contrast paints, my god, I'm cheating myself, you're not. Okay? There are other ways for you to, there are really just other ways for you to really cheat yourself and really take out the enjoyment of the hobby, right? Contrast paints slash speed paints are here. They're here for you to use. So I just hope you're painting and playing. So I hope you guys enjoyed my rant about contrast paints for a little bit here. I'm hoping that a lot of these models that I'm painting right now will be featured in future videos, and they will be. Once they are fully painted, they might earn their paint jobs as we go along through the campaign. So I hope whatever information I had to give you guys here was worthwhile and useful for you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, I'm gonna peace out.